Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. For more than 2 years, this committee has engaged in one of the most comprehensive and in-depth investigations of pharmaceutical pricing practices ever conducted by Congress. This investigation was launched by my predecessor, the late Chairman Elijah Cummings, and I have been proud to carry forward this critical work. Last fall, the committee held 2 hearings with drug company CEOs and released 5 staff reports detailing our findings. This morning, we released a 6th staff report describing our findings on AbbVie, which sells 2 blockbuster drugs, HERKIMER and IMBRUVICA. Our work has continued and confirmed what patients in this country have known for a long time. Drug prices in the United States are unfair, unsustainable, and just plain wrong. This investigation also reveals something even more distressing. Drug companies are actively targeting the U.S. for price increases while cutting prices in the rest of the world. They are doing this by taking advantage of flaws and loopholes in our system, most importantly, the law that prevents Medicare from negotiating directly with drug companies for lower prices. Finally, our investigation has revealed that the justifications the pharmaceutical industry offers for why they need to raise prices simply do not hold water. Today, we will hear from Richard Gonzalez, the CEO of AbbVie. We appreciate his attendance at today's hearing. Unfortunately, this hearing was delayed because it took more than a year and the threat of a subpoena before AbbVie agreed to voluntarily comply with this committee's investigation. AbbVie has repeatedly raised the prices of HERKIMER, which is used to treat rheumatoid arthritis and other autoimmune diseases, and IMBRUVICA, a drug approved to treat different forms of cancer. AbbVie charges approximately $77,000 a year for a year's supply of HERKIMER. That is 470% more when the drug was launched in 2003. HERKIMER is the highest grossing drug in the United States, due in large part to these horrendous price increases. You see where it started out for $500 for a syringe, it's now at $2,984 just for a syringe. AbbVie and its partner Janssen Biotech charged even more, over $181,000 for a year's supply of IMBRUVICA. That is 74% more than when the drug was launched in 2013. Experts estimate that by 2026, IMBRUVICA will be the 4th best-selling drug in the United States. These prices are outrageous and unfair. Even more outrageous is that Americans are the only ones paying them. In 2015, a single syringe of HERKIMER was priced over $1,000 higher in the United States than in countries like Canada, Japan, Korea, and the United Kingdom. Even as AbbVie hikes its prices in the United States, it has actually been dropping its prices in other countries. In one internal presentation from 2016, AbbVie executives described this disparity as, and I quote, "positive price in the U.S. and negative price overseas," end quote. AbbVie's price increases have paid off for the company's bottom line. Last year alone, AbbVie collected $16 billion in U.S. net revenue for HERKIMER, and AbbVie and Janssen collected $4.3 billion for IMBRUVICA. That is more than $20 billion from American patients and taxpayers for just 2 drugs. And you see the massive price increase up to $16 billion. from 200 million. Our investigation also uncovered evidence that AbbVie has exploited the U.S. patent system and engaged in anti-competitive practices to extend its monopoly pricing. The committee has obtained internal documents showing that AbbVie's own executives projected its top-selling drug, HERKIMER, would face competition from lower-priced versions of the drug, known as biosimilars, beginning in 2017. But AbbVie used legally questionable tactics to block lower-priced biosimilars from reaching American consumers until at least 2023. Those tactics made AbbVie a fortune, but cost Americans dearly. Based on these findings, I sent a letter. I sent this letter to the FTC today, along with committee chairman of the Judiciary, Chairman Nadler, and antitrust subcommittee chairman Cicilline, asking for a formal inquiry into whether AbbVie's anti-competitive practices violated the law. Finally, I want to emphasize that drug companies make essential, life-saving products. If the last year has taught us anything, it is that we are all indebted to the scientists who pioneered new cures, therapies, and vaccines. So we want drug companies to be successful, but abusive, unfair pricing and anti-competitive practices mean these medications are out of reach for too many Americans. And instead of investing in new innovations, drug companies like AbbVie are dedicating significant portions of their research budgets to coming up with new ways to suppress competitive products. That means Americans are paying more, but we are getting less innovation. If we want to make a difference for patients and taxpayers, we need structural reforms like H.R. 3, which would finally allow Medicare to negotiate for lower drug prices like the rest of the world does. Congress must pass this common sense reform and others so that patients and families can afford these prescriptions. I want to close by playing statements from patients who want to share their experiences with us about these two drugs. Please watch.
Hi, my name is Catherine Pepper, and I'm from Bellingham, Washington. I'm a former computer consultant, but more importantly, I'm a proud mother of 3 and grandmother of 5. Unfortunately, my ability to enjoy my grandkids has been diminished because of my health. I suffer from debilitating pain and reduced mobility caused by psoriatic arthritis. To treat my condition, my doctors prescribed me HERKIMER injections weekly. HERKIMER's price is $5,900 for a pack of 2 pens. This is, even as a Medicare beneficiary on a fixed income, I still have to pay nearly $1,200 out of pocket every single month. I can't afford this. I don't know any average person who can. The excessive HERKIMER prices forces me to choose every month whether to eat or fill my prescriptions. Many times I must skip my HERKIMER doses. The impact is unbelievable pain in my joints, especially in my hands and feet. I shouldn't have to play Russian roulette with my health. This is why I'm sharing my story with you today. This drug company's price gouging needs to stop. We need change. I urge you to consider patients like myself as you take action to lower the drug prices. Thank you.
My name is Jacqueline Garibay, and I'm a 19-year-old college student from Austin, Texas. Last year, I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, an autoimmune disorder that primarily affects my spine and has spread to most of my major joints. Without expensive biologic medications, my spine could fuse and leave me unable to walk by the time I'm out of school. After my diagnosis, I was prescribed HERKIMER, which is priced at almost $6,000 for a month's supply. Even with a coupon from my doctor, my first prescription cost me $350 out of pocket, and that's money I don't have as a college student. Right now, I'm studying political science and I want to go to law school, but my dreams and independence are threatened by having to constantly worry about affording my medication because I'm going to have to take an expensive biologic like HERKIMER for the rest of my life. Committee members, as you pursue solutions for drug prices, I hope you'll remember the millions of young people with chronic conditions who are facing a lifetime of daunting and ever-increasing treatment prices at the hands of companies like AbbVie. Thank you.
My name is LYNN SCARFUTO, and I live in HERKIMER, New York. I'm a retired nurse, having worked with cancer patients as a nurse navigator for the last decade of my career. In 2012, I became a cancer patient myself when I was diagnosed with leukemia and later with lung cancer. My journey has not been easy. It's required surgery and expensive treatments. For my leukemia, my oncologist prescribed the oral chemotherapy Imbruvica. Although I have Medicare, the monthly cost of Imbruvica is over $13,000. I don't have the financial resources to pay for it, and not many do. I have secured short-term assistance to cover these prohibitive costs. Sadly, my help runs out the end of the year. My inability to afford Imbruvica's astronomical price once my assistant runs out would certainly expedite my death. I spent the last years of my nursing career working to ensure my cancer patients had the best treatment possible. Now, I'm terrified I won't be able to obtain those same resources for myself. Instead of enjoying my retirement and focusing on my health, I carry around the overwhelming burden of Imbruvica's price tag. You have the power to change that by reining in the greed of the drug companies. Thank you for listening to my story.
These patient stories show why we need immediate reform. We need to pass H.R. 3 this year to allow Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices for Americans like other foreign countries do. I now recognize, first I thank these patients for their testimony, their very moving testimony. And I now recognize the distinguished ranking member, Mr. Comer, for an opening statement.